Hi, girlies. I am a bisexual with an English degree. I also have undiagnosed autism. So the Percy Jackson phase, it was definitely just an inevitability, I feel like. And I'm back on my Barbie BS. So I kind of wanted to combine the two things today, and I wanted to do what if Barbie protagonists were in the Percy Jackson world, so like who their godly parent would be and what cabin they would be in. I'm not doing everyone. There's like almost 50 Barbie movies at this point. So my rule is I'm not doing anyone whose name is Barbie. So like any of the Barbie and her sisters movies, for example, Starlight Adventure, anything like that, where the character's name is Barbie, where she's not like playing a character, she's sort of more like playing herself. And there are also some in here that I just like didn't want to do, or I couldn't honestly think of ideas for. And if you do think of any ideas, please leave them below, because I am more than happy to dive back into this topic again and do a part two. Starting with Clara, I think one of the most iconic images, at least in my head, when it comes to Nutcracker is the Nutcracker's arm in a sling. I think that's really an important part. Now, in the story, Drosselmeyer is the one who actually slings up the arm, but I like associating Clara with the healer image personally. All of these are going to be headcanon, naturally. So yeah, I picture her as a healer, so I think the Apollo cabin definitely works for that. Oh, spoiler alert, I guess, but Apollo is going to be a kind of busy cabin by the end of this. Speaking of busy cabins, Rapunzel is our first of our Athena girls. There is an argument to be made for her to be an Apollo as well, because she's a painter and an artist and Apollo is an artist, but I'm thinking of the fact that she uses the paintbrushes to make the dresses. I'm thinking of textiles, which is more an Athenian art form. With Odette, I want to go Aphrodite for her. There is a lot of swan symbolism associated with Aphrodite. So, Swan Lake naturally fits into that. Annalise and Erica take us back to Athena and Apollo respectively, with our science queen being our Athenian naturally, and our singer being our Apollonian, obviously. Okay, Annika was an interesting one. So I really wanted to play into the ice and snow thing, because like ice skating is definitely like the most key part, and obviously like her animal companion is a polar bear. I wanted to play into that, but like ice and snow are not really like part of the most like the main pantheon. So I had to do a little bit of digging and I had to be a little bit creative. There's a goddess, I believe it's pronounced Kyone. I'm not sure if that's right. She's like the daughter of one of the winds or something like that. And I think she might be like the goddess of ice and snow. I thought also Persephone was an interesting option, because like as the goddess of seasons, that naturally represents winter as well. But I didn't want to do Persephone. I thought it was a little bit Mary Sue, I'm not gonna lie, but also it's not something that you typically associate with Persephone. She's not usually seen as having godly children, demigod children, or like children at all, unless you're on a certain part of Tumblr. But then I thought of a little bit of a wild card. How do we feel about Aries? Bear with me. Bear with me. That's obviously not something that we typically associate her with. Or Barbie characters in general, I don't really think of as warriors even. I'm going to get to the Musketeers later, and they're not really like in a war in the same way, you know what I mean? But one of the things that the Aries children are associated with within Percy Jackson is anger. And particularly like using that anger in a really like strong warrior way. And Annika has a lot of anger, especially at the start, and like I would too if someone had turned my sister into a horse and then tried to marry me. Ew. So, she has rightful anger, and I feel like she uses that really healthily by the end, or she learns how to use it healthily over the course of the movie, and she uses it really well by the time that she's like finally defeating Wenlock. She has used it in a healthy way instead of in her destroy Wenlock way, So, a bit of a wild card, tell me what you think. Genevieve for me was a little bit more straightforward. For me, the 12 dancing princesses represent Dionysus. With Dionysus's powers, the ones that come across most are like the plant-based ones, and that translates really nicely to the secret garden. And like while Demeter is the one that you would typically associate with the secret garden, I feel like dancing through the night, that's very god of theatre, god of wine, god of parties. Rosella, I didn't give her like a godly parent, but I feel like she could join Artemis on the hunt. I feel like she can talk to animals. She's got her like wildlife survivalist skills. I think those would be really useful as a hunter of Artemis. Is it a cop-out to put the bookish Mariposa in Athena? Yes, it is, but it's also correct. So Diamond Castle is next, and Argeo could both be an Apollo, but like when you're both in the same cabin, you're kind of seen as siblings, and I ship them too much to do that to myself. I'm not gonna lie. While yes, I want to put Leanna and Apollo, I actually want to put Alexa and Hestia. I think Hestia is the goddess of the hearth and of the home, and she's very much associated with like that sense of hospitality and the home. And when I think of like that fake house setup that like lured both of them in, Alexa was the one who was most swayed by it. So it's interesting to me that like she's the one who like most wants that sense of home. Corinne's a natural Athenian. I think for one thing, she is a fighter. She's a combatant. So there's the goddess of war aspect. She is a strategist. She is the one who leads the strategy against Tim Curry, against real life man Tim Curry. She is also the one who figures out that they were cutting the ropes with the jewels and stuff like that. She's the one who figures everything out. She's very clever. But coming back to the hunt, I think all of the musketeers could join the hunt and they would be most welcome. Merlia's parent is Poseidon. She's literally a mermaid. What else do you want from me? And last but not least for this video, I had to include Blair. I'm never gonna not. And I like struggled with this one because there's not like a clear cut answer to me. So I started thinking about how like she works in hospitality, right? She starts off as a waitress, and also that like home thing is a thing for her as well. Like she's looking out for her sister, she's looking out for her mother, she's trying to find a better place for them to live. That's the reason that she becomes the lottery winner. That's why she accepts the lottery in the first place, is because she, you know, wants to look after her family. So I was thinking Hestia for her as well. I think that would really suit that like home thing, right? But then I decided that she's my favorite character and I can do what I want, and this is my video and you can't stop me, and I decided Zeus. I decided Zeus, and like blah blah blah, the big three don't have kids, whatever. Percy Jackson, next question. And like, don't get me wrong, like I know I'm just like making my fave and Mary Sue, I'm making her OP, I don't care, this is just for fun. But hear me out, here's why it makes sense. For one thing, I was talking about the hospitality thing, and like, yes, it is Hestia who's goddess of the hearth and the home, but Zeus is actually associated with hospitality as well. And because it's one of the like virtues in like Hellenism, he represents that as well. So there's that aspect. But also he is the leader of the gods. And Blair's journey is about learning leadership and learning confidence and learning not only like the princess rules and like how to pass princess school, but to actually be a princess and to actually be the leader of Gardenia by the end of it. So I actually think it makes sense. And also I'm doing this because she's my favorite. I don't care. Yeah, but as always, tell me your thoughts. But for now, that's it. Bye, girlies.